Get your copy of my Amazon #1 bestseller in Science and Religion, The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith. Considering the world in which we now live, you need this book. Get your copy today, Amazon.com or the WND Superstore.
Commander-in-Chief is back. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio.
All right, welcome back to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. Well, Judge Terry Lewis in Florida, who's best known for presiding over the 2000 Bush versus Gore election dispute, today in Tallahassee, Leon County, Florida, heard arguments from Obama's attorney and the attorney filing the challenge to Obama's eligibility to be on the Florida ballot. Attorney Larry Klayman, I'm reading this article from WND.com right now. Attorney Larry Klayman filed the challenge to Obama's eligibility for the ballot on behalf of Michael Volz, who identifies himself in the complaint as, quote, a registered member of the Democratic Party, a voter and a taxpayer in Broward County. The arguments by Obama's attorneys reflected their request that the judge simply dismiss the case because Obama's attorneys claim that a sitting president chosen by his party at multiple levels is, get this, not yet officially the nominee of the Democrat Party. That's their argument. But there's more. Herron, the attorney, argued the Florida process affirms only that Obama is the choice in the state's presidential preference primary, but it is not necessarily the party's nominee for president. Klayman, the attorney who's arguing the challenge, accused the Obama attorneys of playing a shell game and trying to put off the issue, as numerous courts did in 2008 until the election was over and then Obama was inaugurated. The judge could remove Obama's name from the November ballot in Florida, a crucial swing state, should the judge determine that the Constitution's requirement that a president be a natural-born citizen can be applied at the primary level. Now, Klayman has argued that since Obama, by his own admission, was not born to two U.S. citizen parents, then he's not natural-born, and therefore he's ineligible to be a candidate on the state's election ballot. Florida's election statutes provide broad protection for voters to ensure that the integrity of the election system is beyond reproach. Now, one of the laws allows voters to challenge the nomination of a candidate who is not eligible for the office he is seeking. The complaint explains that even if Obama was born within the United States, he's still not natural born, as required by the U.S. Constitution. That's because his father was born in the British colony of Kenya on June 18, 1936, making him a British subject according to the British Nationality Act of 1948. A case filing explains, quote, no physical paper copy of defendant Obama's birth certificate has been presented to establish his eligibility. Defendant Obama has electronically produced a copy of what he purports to be his birth certificate. Nevertheless, there is legal evidence to suggest that the electronically produced birth certificate is entirely fraudulent or otherwise altered, end quote. That comes from the case filing. Obama's attorneys told the judge that other courts have decided that courts should not make these decisions of eligibility, and the process is better handled by Congress. And you know what? Obama's attorneys are right on that. And I've been saying that from the beginning. This whole debacle is Congress's fault, according to the Constitution. And several federal courts have ruled that Congress is responsible for determining the president's eligibility, not a federal court. Obama's attorney said that state courts especially are not suited to make a decision on the eligibility of Obama. So this is the best the Obama attorneys have? Please, somebody wake me up. We're still down the Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. Their number one argument, they've got two arguments. Number one, you can't decide this, Mr. Judge, because Obama is not the official Democrat nominee. Goodness, folks, he's the president, or at least he's sitting in the office of president, and he's actively campaigning and running for the office of president. Is there any doubt at all that he will not be the Democrat nominee. That's their main argument. You can't decide this case because he's not the official Democrat nominee. And number two, their other point of the main argument is a state shouldn't decide this. A state has no right to determine who is eligible for the state ballot. That's their arguments. Good gosh, folks. If this is not a blatant backdoor admission of guilt by Obama's own attorneys, I don't know what it is. Think about it logically. If I were the president, if you were the president, if I was the president and I was 100% legal and knew it, I would have had my attorneys present all the evidence to any and all of the courts 3 years ago. I would have had congressional investigative committees assembled. I would have provided them with all of the evidence, and I would have been done with it so I could get on with governing the country. Oh, but now that we have a court in Florida brave enough to actually consider the case on all of its merits, it appears, according to Obama's own attorneys, the case has no merits. Just what I've been telling you all along. Let's go to this next story. You're not going to believe this. Out of Egypt, it is being announced that the Muslim Brotherhood is now in control and has won all of the elections. Are you surprised by this either? I'll have more on that right after this brief timeout.